Rất vui gặp lại các quý vị trong chương trình trao đổi cuối năm nhìn lại kinh tế Việt Nam và dự báo viễn cảnh 2013. Mr. Attila, you gave us a very positive picture about Vietnam economy. Although around us, the world economy quite slowed down. Do you think that 2013, the world economy still slow down and we could not get further good news about the recovery of Europe, US or Japan?
I would say that indeed 2013 will be for many people pretty much similar to what has been 2012. The issues in Europe, they are very complex and very big. So, and of course, we are still talking about fiscal cliff in US. So it will be more uncertainty in US as well. And Japan is continuously facing difficulties on macro level, on population levels. But at least China, it seems that is getting back to the growth path again, to a sustainable growth path. So will be definitely better than 2012, but probably just marginally better.
Otherwise, we look around, we also consider now ASEAN country. They mentioned that they want to boost, they want to speed up the ASEAN economy community by 2015. And also the initial about Trans-Pacific Park, the trade platform between US and Pacific country. Do you think they are also good opportunity for Vietnam to catch up?
I would say that in the global context, the next 5 years will be the years of ASEAN. If you look at 2012, as already the ASEAN country stock markets outperformed all the stock markets in the world as a bloc. So it is the year of ASEAN, and that's where a lot of growth, a lot of opportunities will be. In this context, Vietnam is positioned perfectly. It's in the heart of ASEAN to some extent, very well connected to all the countries, and very good tie with the US as well. So it's a lot of growth opportunities there, and a lot of opportunities for Vietnamese companies to seek growth in these regions to compensate for the slower growth in US, in Europe, in Japan.
We have the talent.
Exactly, and it's much harder for Vietnamese companies to compete in ASEAN because ASEAN countries are similar to Vietnam, similar labor costs, the similar resources, so to speak. So it's harder to compete, but have to go to ASEAN in order to have good growth.
Opportunity, but also challenge.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Let's
say about challenge. That another challenge that we see whole the year that a lot of tension in Pacific Ocean. Do you think now business people have to consider that about long-term business strategy because of the tension in the Pacific Ocean?
Definitely, we see that the case of Japan and China tensions had great impact on the trade relations and on the tourism between the two countries, and that's something that have to consider very, very carefully. But at the end of the day, from a strategic point of view, the only way to balance these issues is to have a strong ASEAN, and within that to have a strong Vietnam, both economically, politically. So in that sense, a focus on ASEAN, besides maintaining very good trade relationships with Europe, US, Russia, India, is very, very important.
We should improve business and trade, and also it's better for defense.
Definitely. I mean, having strong relations, trade relations, and businesses and people coming and going with US, Europe, India, Russia, ASEAN, that would position Vietnam in a place where the business interests of all these big countries would not allow an escalation of any tensions that would be harmful.
Back to Vietnam, another challenge people talk that we are doing hardly the restructuring economy, and particularly the state-run enterprise. Do you think is it very high cost we have to pay if we fail in the reform of the state-run company, and particularly the big chaebol like the matter people talk about Vinasip, Vinasin, etc.
It's one of the biggest questions and one of the biggest fear of foreign investors is that this process of dealing with state-owned enterprises will be delayed. We have seen good reforms in the banking sector, in the capital markets, and in some sectors, but investors still are not convinced that this reform process in the state-owned sector will continue. And the problem is that the state-owned sector has access to very cheap capital, very cheap funds, but they are not using it efficiently, and it's an economic waste. Vietnam has very good examples of having very good and efficient enterprise with this state ownership. If you look at Vinamilk, if you look at Petro-Vietnam Drilling, these have been state enterprises transformed into companies that can compete regionally, can compete on a global environment. Many times people say that have to be privatized or have to be sold to private investors. But obviously I understand the argument that now it's too cheap to sell. And I would not recommend it, and I agree Vietnam government should not sell it too cheap. We've seen in Eastern Europe,
yes,
they
you're
sell.
from Hungary.
I'm from Eastern Europe, and I've seen it in the 90s. The government sell the state sector too fast, and the local corporations couldn't get strong enough to compete with the buyers, with the foreign buyers. So the national economies now are fairly weak. And I think Vietnam is doing very well, that they're trying to build strong national economy and corporations and sell these state-owned enterprises when the time is right, and when the price is right, and when there are strong local companies who can buy them or who can run them. But until then, they have to find proper management.
It means that 2013 and further,
because otherwise it will be a drag on the economy for a very long time, and it would be a pity because otherwise it will be a drag on the economy for a very long time, and it would be a pity to not solve this issue, because it's an economic waste to not solve this issue, because it's an economic waste.
We still have to speed up the reform, still improve our achievement. Don't delay any our reform.
If you delay the reform, you delay economic growth. Yeah. So definitely, the short-term solution is to have competent management. That's a very short-term solution. But obviously, on the long term, you have to have maybe foreign investment, maybe strong local corporations who already have more knowledge, more management, leadership knowledge, to run those companies more efficiently. So regardless of whether you privatize it, you keep it, that's a decision has to be made. But making it efficient, it's something that cannot be delayed.
Thank you, Attila. I think that we would talk about the response from entrepreneur and enterprises for the new year 2013. Cảm ơn quý vị. Chúng ta sẽ có cuộc trao đổi tiếp tục với ông Attila về các cái hành động, các cái suy nghĩ của doanh nhân Việt Nam khi bước vào năm 2013, làm thế nào để thích ứng với một cái tình hình kinh tế nhiều khó khăn nhưng cũng có rất nhiều dấu hiệu tích cực.